You wake up, put on your Ray-Ban Meta glasses. You're living all in. You realize you need coffee. So you say,
"Hey, Meta, how do I make a latte?"
Brew 2 shots of espresso.
After Meta AI gets you caffeinated, you're ready for some beats.
"Hey, Meta, play hip-hop music."
You head to meet some friends, but can't remember the place.
"Hey, Meta, call Eva."
Ray-Ban Meta glasses, the next generation of AI glasses. Just say, "Hey, Meta," to harness the power of Meta AI. Shop now at meta.com/smartglasses.
Hey loves, it's Paris Hilton. Are you ready to live your best life this holiday season? Well, I've got the ultimate holiday giveaway just for you. Go to parishilton.com/giveaway to win a fabulous gift basket filled with handpicked faves from my gift guide. From my iconic cookware and chic apparel to glam goodies from my go-to brands, this bundle has it all. Don't wait. Enter now at parishilton.com/giveaway. Good luck and happy holidays. Keeps living. That's hot.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
Another night, another beauty from Kirill Kaprizov. It's Nordo in for PA. Happy Wednesday. 651 Carpets Plus Studios. We'll jump to the TimberTech set list momentarily, but the set list will begin. Head coach, the Minnesota Wild, John Hynes, joining 9 to noon, thankfully and gracious with the opportunity to chat with the coach, basically on a weekly basis. How are you doing this morning, John?
I'm doing great today. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing very well, sir. And John, albeit ending in a loss against the Vegas Golden Knights over the weekend, you hear that highlight from Joe O'Donnell, and it's just like another night, another moment of something special from Kirill. It's just a beauty to have that guy in your mix, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's really nice. He's such a he's such a dynamic player. He's a consistent competitor. He's a driver for us every night, and it's nice. I think it's also important too when you play as hard as he plays night in and night out. With the skill level he has, that he's able to get rewarded. And find ways to score and produce points for the team. So he's a dynamic player that's playing dynamic night in and night out.
What is that challenge for you as a head coach when it comes to, creating relationships with your roster? And there might be fourth line guy that gets called up periodically. You have a spectrum, I guess, is what I'm getting at in terms of a guy like Kirill, maybe to a guy that contributes in different ways. What's the challenge for you to create those relationships? Know the right buttons to push or strings to pull with a Kaprizov versus maybe somebody else on the roster?
Yeah, it's a big part of it. I think that it's your job to understand the different dynamics on your team and the different roles, and everybody is important to the team. Hockey's the ultimate team game, so it's when let's say, like you said, the perfect example, when a player gets called up, I think it's important that as the head coach, you spend some time with him, you talk to him, tell him what your expectations are of him, see how he's feeling, explain to him the role. Could be the ice time. This is exactly what we're looking for. And then just talk to him about, there's transitions for those guys. They're coming up from Iowa at times. Sometimes their families are in Iowa. They're here in a hotel. They're by themselves. So I think it's understanding, everyone's different on your team. Their lifestyles are different. Their own situations are different. But I think it's, everybody needs to be communicated with and I think feel valued and be treated fairly. Not everyone's treated equally in the sense of, I think, ice time or leeway and certain things that they can do. But I think when you can treat everybody fairly and they feel like they're valued by the coaching staff, I think that's important to having guys be able to perform at a high level.
Absolutely, and you're going to need the team to perform at a high level tonight. The defending champs are in town. It's prime time, 8:30 p.m. puck drop. I know as the home of the Minnesota Wild, we're going to have an extended pregame leading up to that, starting around 7 or 7:30, bringing you in ultimately to Wild and the Florida Panthers. And I do want to get to that game, but first, knowing that we were going to have you on this morning, I'm watching your press conference yesterday with the assembled media post practice and just kind of digging into the state of the squad. And I got to admit, out of the 7 or 8 minutes that you chatted with the media, I'm looking at it's like half the thing is injury updates. What's this guy's timeline? Who's this? Who's that? Ooh, Gonser's in the mix. And I do have a question about him maybe later, but how do you keep track of all this? Is it getting difficult to kind of who's in, who's out? This guy might play based on the status of this other guy. It's been quite a ride while still winning, hasn't it, Coach?
Yeah, when you get this many injuries, and then it gets challenging. There, to be honest, there is a lot of time spent. Sometimes, unfortunately, when you meet with the media, you don't have all the information available because normally it's in the morning, so you haven't been able to gone through the day. Usually, at that point, guys are getting treatment, or they're seen by doctors or the trainers. So usually in the afternoons, it's quite a bit of conversation with the management and the trainers. Just about, okay, where's this guy's timeline? Has it changed? It's a lot of moving parts. But I think, again, it's just kind of trying to communicate with the players, with the staff, and make sure that we, have the right plan in place for each guy, and then the expectations of when they would come back or not come back. But then also communicating with the players that, possibly could be in or out, that they clearly know. You're going to be in tomorrow, but there could be a game time decision. You need to be aware and be ready for that. So it is a lot of moving parts when you have this many injuries at one time.
And it sounded like, you can tell me if I'm wrong, that based on everything as it is now, that Fleury's in net tonight, Wallstedt is the backup, and it is one of those situations. John Worley must be one of the busiest guys in the NHL right now, but Gus, we're still kind of getting day-by-day vibes in terms of his status, right?
Yes, exactly. Yep, he's exactly what I said yesterday. We're still waiting day by day with him to see how he's responded to a couple different things that we've done, and a little bit of rest time. I think sometimes when guys do get injured, so sometimes it isn't a major thing, but there needs to be 2 or 3 days of inactivity treatments. What's the response? Do you need to do something better? Did you respond really well to that? And has his course changed quicker than what you might think it would be? And that's the situation with Gus right now.
Now, I know it's a few days removed from the Golden Knights game, but Wallstedt, did you see anything, again, albeit in a loss, that at least in this short-term period, while you get Gus in the right direction, that you saw something that lends to confidence that he can be that second guy you rely on?
Yes, I thought Wally came in and played well, and I think when you look at this year, he had a couple good experiences last year. One was, a tough first game in Dallas, and responded to that, and then came back and played, of course, a bit near the end of the year. Had a really good summer, came into training camp, and certainly made a case for himself to be able to be on the team and feel as though he's mentally and physically ready to play in the NHL. Obviously, with Gus and Flower playing at the level that they've played at, and Wally being a young guy, it was important for him to play. He didn't maybe handle that as well as, self-admittedly that he could have, but that's also a growing experience for him from a mental standpoint, working through certain things, and then got his game back together. And I thought he came in and played well, and we felt very confident that Wally's going to be able to give us what we need to be able to continue to win games when he's in the net.
So the Florida Panthers are in town tonight, 8:30 p.m. Head coach John Hynes joining me, Nordo, who is in for PA 9 to noon. Get a pen and a pad to write all of that down. Your squad got after him in their building earlier this season. What are you looking forward to this evening?
I think it's going to be another hard-fought game. I think when you look at, the makeup of their team and the style of game that they play, they're a big, strong, hard team. They play quick. They're a heavy forecheck team. They crawl all over the goalie. They're a shot mentality team, so they like to get to the net hard. I think for us, on the flip side of that, is you have to be strong. I think in our breakouts, coming out of our D-zone coverage, strong around our net and box outs and things like that. But in our attack game, I think if we're strong on our breakouts and you can beat the pressure, you're going to be able to put, our opportunity to get up and get on the attack. And then the same thing, it's probably going to be a territory game, right? We've got to make good decisions with the puck when we get in the offensive zone. We want to make sure we're hard on the puck. We're making them defend. We're hard at their goalie. We have a shot retrieval mentality to put them in situations where they can't attack us. We want to be able to attack them.
It certainly was a fun win down there. And as you lay it out, I'm curious. Hockey's always seemed to me, John, and maybe I'm wrong, but it's one of those things where this wasn't 6 months ago you played them, but it certainly wasn't 6 days ago, that it isn't always as easy as this is what worked before, so therefore it'll work again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think, things change. I think when you play a team within, say a week or two or a couple weeks, I think there's very similar things that happen in the game. The teams are at, closer to the same stages, so I think when you play a team a couple months in between, sometimes the dynamics of the teams change. There's injuries, there's guys in, there's guys out, they're hot, they're not playing as well. So, you go back to some things in that game because you know that the things that don't change is really the identity of the team that you're going to play. There might be some more recent things tactically, maybe some different lineup or line combinations that you want to make sure you're aware of. But you go more of the present versus this team than what happened back in Florida.
And it is kind of a situation where things are so fluid in your game, and there's a ton of games, 82 of them, that in a lot of circumstances, it's more realistic to maximize what my squad does, what John Hynes' squad does, and get the best run of that versus trying to nitpick and dink and dunk through the minutia of what the Panthers or anybody else are doing, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think you want to spend, 80% of your time on your own team, right? Of making sure that whether that's the effort, the intensity, the work ethic, or those things in line, your tactical things, there's parts of your game that you really like. You want to continue to reinforce. There's some areas that you may feel like need to be tweaked a little bit. And if that coincides with some of the strengths of the other team, you can splice in, here's Florida, here's what they're doing in this situation, here's what we need to tighten this up. So even though you are going through pre-scouting and things like that, you're always tying it back to your game.
Now, last couple for you, Coach. Again, appreciate your time. As part of that presser I was watching, when you weren't going through myriad health-related updates, you really put a big emphasis on the penalty kill. And I believe one of the goals the other night against Vegas was just, right off the draw at 7 seconds into the power play for them, and they tally one. And you talked about face-off intensity and winning those draws. And of course, the implications of not winning them potentially in a shorthanded situation. How much of that is technique versus effort in winning those draws?
Face-offs are usually a combination of everything. I think sometimes when if the center loses it clean, that's a tough situation because they snap it right back and then they're right into their power play setup. But it's a combination of technique and battle and assignments. Lots of times the center may tie up. You need your defensemen and your wingers to be able to come in and help. And then there's technique involved in that. Is your stick in the ice? Can you be first to the puck? Do you instantly go into your man and gain body position? And then if you win the face-off, what are our assignments to get out of the zone? And then if we lose the face-off, what are our assignments to be able to check the puck back? So it's a combination of things in face-off. There's a lot that goes into it, but for us, we need to be better in all aspects.
I dig it. Last one for you, and this is kind of 10,000-foot view. Team's running hot right now. You get Zuccarello back, Brodin in the mix. That's super cool. And all health situations aside, you're still running hot. I'm curious as the season goes on, though, do you look at every game, all points equally, in terms of getting those W's, or do you at any point start to judge your squad based on how they stack up against Winnipeg and Dallas and the Vegas types as you consider ultimately the goal, winning a Stanley Cup, the goal on the front end, step one, making the playoffs? Do you consider what those matchups would be like, how you stack up against those contenders in the West?
I think as the season gets on later, you look at those things. I still think right now, with over half a season still to play, I think you're more building your game and you're taking each game's challenge and taking the lessons out of it, whether it's Dallas or Winnipeg or Vegas or Philadelphia or Florida tonight, or Utah on Friday, whoever it is, I think it's really continuing, build your game, build your mindset, keep developing the players, keep moving your team forward. focus on the things that we can control. And, I think some of that, judging yourself against certain teams at this point in the year takes the focus away from building your team, as the season continues to move forward and giving yourself the best chance to be a strong competitive team over 82 games. And if you are, that leads you into the playoffs. But right now, the focus is not what our records are against certain teams. Let's just focus on what we can control, what's right in front of us, what was just behind us, take the lessons, and let's keep building.
Awesome. Makes sense. Thanks again for your time, Coach. Have a terrific day, and rooting for 2 points tonight against the Panthers, my friend.
All right, thanks. Always a pleasure. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. That's head coach John Hynes, Minnesota Wild, and the Minnesota Wild hosting the Florida Panthers. Just absolutely sacked them 5-1 earlier this year down in, is it Sunrise, Florida, Brett?
It is.
Help me out on the fly. It's Sunrise. Yes. I always say just South Beach, just the Miami area, but Sunrise. Let's be accurate in what we say 9 to noon. We are reporters first. 9 to noon.
Accuracy leaders, 9 to noon.
There's no doubt about that. That's why, we rarely ever have to use the Covenant cleanup sounder. Always thankful for John Hynes and his time, though, rooting for his squad tonight. And a team that has fallen actually back into second as of now. And they've just had, I mentioned those couple of hiccups, the loss to Vegas. And, Edmonton was a problem on Thursday, certainly. But this is a team, as he mentioned, and it was cool to get his perspective. The reason, because a lot of Wild fans, hockey fans in general, it's, you can go put 4 on Philly. You can beat up on some of these teams. You can even handle the Panthers tonight. But what are you doing against Dallas? What are you doing against Winnipeg? I do appreciate his perspective on that from the standpoint that, how this team performed the other day against Vegas. And the transitioning and the changes that this team is going through from a health standpoint, that it is more important probably at this stage to spend most of a practice like they did yesterday trying to figure out this PK, trying to figure out winning some freaking draws. I feel like the face-off conversation with the Minnesota Wild, I've been with the Fan almost something like 12 years now. I feel like it's been a conversation for almost 12 of those years. That's not John Hynes' fault. He's just the most recent guy trying to fix it. And it was a problem in shorthanded situations the other night. So, focusing on those things, getting your roster at its very peak, and then let's go Stars, let's go Jets, let's go Golden Knights, and hopefully we find ourselves in some advantageous positions into the spring. I am in the position of filling in for PA today. And I will be offering you up the TimberTech set list. It is as follows. Thank you to TimberTech for bringing you 9 to noon. Thank you to Brett Blakemore for producing this morning. You heard from John Hynes. You're going to hear some Vikes Bites around the corner at 9:40. Weekly guest Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, PFT Live, the Peacock, Football Night in America, the whole thing. He's with us at 9:40. Then Dave Sinekin. It had to happen. Weekly border battle. And I'll talk about it with Florio, and ultimately I'm sure it'll come up with Sinekin as well. Historically good NFC North division is what we're looking at right now. And the idea could be my favorite team, our favorite team, the royal we in this sense with the Vikings. Almost certainly will be the Pack. But the idea of being a 12 or a 13 win team and playing a wild card game on the road, it's odd, but that is the state of the North right now. And then there's those Quitting Bears. But that's going to be Sinekin at 10 o'clock. Lavelli Neal, speaking to the Quitting Bears, the columnist, Lavelli Neal III, Star Tribune, StarTribune.com. He's going to join during the 11 o'clock hour. We'll have some fun. Got some Coach Speak audio from Kevin O'Connor.
You wake up, put on your Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Classic style, innovative tech. You're living all in. You realize you need coffee. Desperately. So you say,
Hey, Meta, how do I make a latte?
To make a latte, brew 2 shots of espresso.
after Meta AI gets you caffeinated, you start walking to work, and you need a soundtrack.
Hey, Meta, play hip-hop music.
With the built-in camera, you snap a pic of a dope mural on the side of a building that you think is worth sharing.
Hey, Meta, text my last photo to Eva.
Sending message.
After work, you head to meet some friends.
Hey, nice glasses.
Ray-Ban Meta glasses, the next generation of AI glasses. Just say, hey, Meta, to harness the power of Meta AI. Listen to music, make hands-free calls with open-ear audio and built-in microphones, and so much more. all while staying present to the world around you. Shop Ray-Ban Meta glasses at meta.com/smartglasses.
Welcome back, 9 to noon. It's Nordo in for PA, and it is time for Vikes Bites!
Vikes Bites!
Brought to you by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef. You can shop online. A box of meat shows up at your doorstep. It's awesome. By the way, you're supporting a local company, Clearwater, Minnesota born. Matt and everybody there, amazing people. And they create an amazing product. You can also find them at Coburn's locations, local co-ops. And they're proud sponsors of Gophers Athletics. So thank you, Thousand Hills. Vikes Bites. Where are we headed to first, Brett?
Vikes Bites! Handful of injuries to report on, but I wanted to start with what I think is probably the most important one that I've seen. Brian O'Neill, listed as sore, but should be able to work through the week and should be available Sunday, according to the head coach in Seattle. Your thoughts? I think that's a big hole if he's not there.
Well, it's kind of funny when you think about it. So I just turned 40. That doesn't mean much, but it's the cliche, it's the trope of getting older. So there are a lot of Mondays where I wake up and I would be listed on the injury report of sore, but should be able to work through the week. And especially now, baby at home, there's some extended couch time in Nordo's current life. It was massive and it was worrisome at times. So he leaves. Quesenberry comes in, does his thing, gave up a couple of pressures, but then he comes back. And I was optimistic even with the way that he left the field, immediately kind of trudges into the blue tent, but it's like, okay, I mean, the guy looks more pissed off than anything. So that should be good news. Then he comes back, but then he leaves again. And then what's up with that? And it sounds like as part of his second stint, I believe it was to start the third quarter, that was actually related to them trying to put some sort of brace on the knee itself, and that he wasn't missing because he couldn't go. It was just, let's get the freaking brace on so I can get back out on the field. We dodged one. We dodged one with that. Now, we did not dodge all of the penalties. Cam Robinson, mostly well above serviceable in his time as left tackle for the Minnesota Vikings. The 4 or 5 penalties are absolutely inexplicable given the home game. And that needs to be better. But the fact that, given some issues that we continue to have from the interior standpoint, Bradbury's he's going to continue to draw the ire of the fan base. I didn't think that Dalton Reisner had his best game as a member of the Vikings either. Those are all things that we continue to focus on and talk about and ponder on a week-by-week basis. The last thing at this stage, specifically for a guy in Brian O'Neill, by the way, the last couple of years, has ended the season in injury, whether it was tearing up, I believe it was his Achilles at Lambeau when there was a pick six. And I can't remember if it was Keyshawn Nixon or if it was Darnell Savage when he was still with the team. But he actually tore his Achilles trying to run back on a pick six. That's a problem. And then the next season went through some injury issues on the back end of the year as well. So we don't want that to happen. We love Brian O'Neill. We need our right tackle. We want to bookend and do the best we can in the absence of Christian Darrisaw. So positive news there all around. But yeah, the in and then he's out and then he's not back, but now he's back again. That was something to watch on Monday night as part of that throttling of the Bears.
Vikes Bites.
Vikes Bites. A couple more injury notes. Stephon Gilmore expected to practice and potentially play. And also Ryan Wright was pulled for a concussion potentially for an evaluation, but cleared the evaluation after he got rocked on that block punt on Monday night. So good news for the punter.
Yeah, I don't want to shoot from the lip, so to speak, and just blame a guy, but I'm pretty sure it was Camu Grugier-Hill who completely bleeped up the situation on the punt that led to Ryan Wright. The play itself, watching the actual contact, was actually, it was kind of funny, as a matter of fact. Glad that Ryan Wright does not have a concussion. That's good. The island of Fabian Moreau is nearing its flood season, and it's going to be high tide, and hopefully thank you to Fabian Moreau for his services, but hopefully Stephon Gilmore is able to come back and solidify things on the outside. So those are all good news. You started out with some positive Vikes bites.
Think about it.
I appreciate that. It pains you. It pains you to do it.
Well, then I'll ruin the. I built it up, and now I'm going to ruin it because I want to talk about Week 17 because the times are out, the kickoff times, but so it still has the border battle.
Still a nooner, right?
Still a nooner, but Seifert tweets out that the NFL has up until next Tuesday to decide between a nooner or 325. I don't know how the flexing works. To me, that screams primetime Sunday night football, waiting all day for a Sunday night bit. Apparently, that's not possible, but it could go to a 325. Or do you care either which way if it's a noon or a 325?
Well, what are the options here? And I'm scrambling, and I know you don't have all the options in front of you. That's fine. So let's see, Week 17. So I'm jumping. We got KC, Pittsburgh. We got a couple of Christmas Day games. I mean, that used to be just let the NBA have a day. And they used to take Christmas. And now the NFL just says, no, thank you. I mean, we got Wednesday, Thursday game, Seattle at Chicago. Then we have 3 Saturday games. So Green Bay's in Minnesota. That's currently a nooner. Now, on one hand, I wonder what it's Capital City, it's Washington, it's the Commanders. There's just not enough time. I mean, that's the first answer to this, Brett, is that they just, whatever that window was for them to announce that they were pulling us from lunchtime to the prime time, that window, I believe it was yesterday, as a matter of fact. Now, they have until, I believe, next Tuesday to decide whether the Vikings-Packers game would be at 3:05, and who are the games we have in the 3 o'clock slot. I mean, this is a hideous lineup. It's Jets at Buffalo, so you love Josh Allen and the MVP run, so that's a nooner. Then it's our game. Vegas and New Orleans, that's hideous. Colts at Giants, hideous. Carolina at Tampa Bay,
hideous.
I mean, it's hideous.
I'll say it.
Tennessee, Jacksonville, hideous. And so our game is kind of, I think they want to keep it in that noon slot, because that would absolutely be probably, save for the regional markets, the nationally televised spot. Because then at 3:25, you have Dallas at Philly, and that is, you know
they got to have that.
No matter how bad the Cowboys are, it's a massive draw. And then Philly with their run right now, they'll be, I think they're 12-2 now. They'll be 13-2 after they beat the Commanders this weekend, and they are vying for the 1 seed. And so they're going to keep in that spot. I'm not worried about flexing. Give me all the noon games. Just let me have all the noon games. I don't need to be in prime time. I don't need to be under the bright lights. Well, there's a bit of selfishness there. First of all, for Vikings fans, you be honest and tell me that you would always rather have a noon game than a night game. Parking and everything that just logistically goes into it. Many of you have already planned your trip around a 12 p.m. time if you're driving in, potentially flying in. And so you care about that. Secondly, selfishly, I don't like doing a truncated, rushed fan line at midnight. I don't want to do that. And then I got to come in, hopefully, in most cases, specifically this year, Kevin O'Connell's tenure, I've been doing a lot more all we do is win montages than rainy days and Mondays. But on 4 hours of sleep, I don't want to have to roll in and pull up the Carpenters and or Gatto Barbieri and start, tears in my beer type of thing. So noon games all around. Let's keep it at noon. That's where I'm at on it. You got time? We got time for one more.
We do have time for one. I just like the feel of a primetime game, but I hope it stays noon just so I can pull the double and go to XL Energy Center the same day. That's what I'm hoping for. Let's do one more here. The Vikings open as a 3-point favorite on Sunday against the Seahawks, who just got trucked on Sunday night. What do you think? Too high, too low, just right for that line? I feel like that's a little disrespectful to the Vikings.
No, I don't think it's disrespectful at all. If Geno Smith is healthy and Geno Smith is playing, that defense can create some problems. Now, Josh Jacobs and the Packers were able to just dominate. I mean, you
notice I didn't even mention who trucked them? I just said they got trucked.
8 or 9 touches on that opening drive. It was a Josh Jacobs drive that just set the tone for the entire game. It was a beautiful thing if you like those ugly green and gold colors mixed together. But that's about right. The Vikings have trouble winning at Lumen. The defense and the new head coach can be good at times. I think, really our best chance of beating them in some ways is going to be the changing of our perception of how we run the ball. And I think how aggressive we are with Aaron Jones and making that thing work specifically early, I think that's something we've had trouble doing. So I think it fits well. Now, if Geno's not in the mix, the Sam Howell thing is awful. And so that line would instantly jump to 6.5, potentially a touchdown by kickoff. But no, three is the right spot. Let's pause. Let's get ahead of it. Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, profootballtalk.com, is joining us next as he does weekly. We'll chat more about the Monday night victory, state of the division, some NFL bits, and more with Florio around the corner. It's Nordo in for PA 9 to noon.
You wake up, put on your Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Classic style, innovative tech. You're living all in. You realize you need coffee, desperately. So you say,
Hey, Meta, how do I make a latte?
To make a latte, brew 2 shots of espresso.
after Meta AI gets you caffeinated, you start walking to work, and you need a soundtrack.
Hey, Meta, play hip-hop music.
With the built-in camera, you snap a pic of a dope mural on the side of a building that you think is worth sharing.
Hey, Meta, text my last photo to Eva.
Sending message.
After work, you head to meet some friends.
Hey, nice glasses.
Ray-Ban Meta glasses, the next generation of AI glasses. Just say, hey, Meta, to harness the power of Meta AI. Listen to music, make hands-free calls with open-ear audio and built-in microphones, and so much more. All while staying present to the world around you. Shop Ray-Ban Meta glasses at meta.com/smartglasses.
Welcome back. Nordo in for PA 9 to noon. And joining us now, weekly longtime guest. It is Pro Football Talk, PFT Live, Peacock Football Night in America. We got books to talk about. It is Mike Florio at Pro Football Talk via X. How are you doing this morning, Mike?
Good, man. How are you?
It's a beautiful morning, and I appreciate you giving me time. And I saw this via the website, and I wanted to make sure that we get this out there, and we'll hit it on the back end of this chat as well. But Father of Mine, Son of Mine, On Our Way Home, several books there. Playmakers, you're doing a special promotion for Christmas, and I just wanted to hear about it.
Yeah, no strings attached. Father of Mine ebook free on Amazon next Tuesday and Wednesday, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. You just go to Amazon that day, you click on the ebook, you'll get it for free if you don't have it already. Downloads immediately to your phone. You can read it whenever you want. You don't have to read it at all. Just take it. It's free. It's free. And it's stupid, but I don't care. It's a gesture to say thank you to everyone out there who spends time hanging out at PFT and reading our stuff. And plenty of people have been reading it since day one back in 2001. So there's also an ulterior motive. Obviously, I want people to read it, and I'm confident they'll enjoy it and say, hey, I need to buy the sequel and the third book in the series, which is coming at some point. So there is a sliver of a business motivation for this, but hey, that's your choice if you pick up the sequel. I'm confident if you read the first one, you'll be interested in the second one. But for now, take the first one for free and do whatever you want with it.
I absolutely love it. So head to Amazon next Tuesday and Wednesday. Father of Mine, the ebook edition is gratis. So take advantage of it, and you'll absolutely love it. Now, to the Purple, we loved the game on Monday night. We're 12-2. It was kind of sleepy at times, Mike, but the Vikings still put 30 on the Bears. They're in the driver's seat for the division and the 1 seed. If I believe my math has been all worked out over the final 3, win out, and they might just get themselves a bye week. It's kind of a sweet spot for KO and his squad.
And kind of a funky game on Monday night. And really, 12-2 usually means you're at least going to be division champion and quite possibly the 1 seed. The Vikings had a special season in 2009, wasn't enough to overcome the Saints for the top seed. They had the special season in 2017, wasn't enough to overcome the Eagles for the top seed. But at least a 12-2 en route to 14-3, maybe 15-2, who knows, becomes at least a home playoff game.
Yeah.
They may not even have that as the 5 seed, which is looking like the most likely outcome if they don't overcome the Lions. So just strange to be that good and staring down the possibility of having to go to Tampa or L.A. to start the playoff run. No guarantee you're not one and done if you have to go on the road to face those teams, which I think are going to be dangerous if they get in. So it really was odd. And even though 30-12 was the final score, there were moments that game could have gone either way the other night. They get the big strip sack of Caleb Williams when the Bears were driving early. They get the what was it? Second half. The failure to report by Doug Kramer, which would have made it a one-score game, a much different vibe at that point. So there were moments, like there are in every game, where it can go either way, and a couple of those went the Vikings' way, and the next thing you know, it all opened up and became what looked like a blowout, but if you watch the game, it wasn't. It was kind of comfortable in the fourth quarter, which is rare for the Vikings, but it was far from a blowout.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I do the post game and the Vikings fan line. So Rubes call in, we take texts, we do all sorts of things for an hour and a half or so as prime time, so it was truncated. But it was almost as if when Justin Jefferson dropped what could have been a clear, easy, open touchdown, which would have been his second of the night, and then 3 plays later, Sam Darnold is lofting that ball up. TJ Hawkinson there. JJ near it as well. Tyreek Stevenson ultimately comes down for it with the interception on fourth down. Like how those little moments can change the perception of the entire game. People were kind of frustrated with how things turned out.
Well, and I was impressed by the decision to go for it on 4th and 3 from the 23. I texted my son after the third down play. The Lions would go for this here.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect the Vikings to go for it. And it's weird and very rare that ESPN analytics were saying kick the field goal. It seems like ESPN analytics always say go for it. But, it's a 2-score game. You kick the field goal, it's still a 2-score game. You finish that drive with a touchdown, it's a 3-score game. And the way the offense was just kind of systematically moving down the field, I was confident they'd gain 3 yards. That play got blown up, and it was stupid by Tyreek Stevenson to come down with the interception to give up 7 yards of field position. And then even dumber, he does the skull clap because he did hurt his team by catching that ball. But as Devin McCourty said on PFT Live yesterday, the defensive player is always going to take the shot at the interception if he can get it. But that was one where it's like, they'll be fine here. And it was 13-0 at halftime. Fizzled on the opening drive of the second half, and we talked about the Doug Kramer moment. So it really wasn't something that felt comfortable until really that goofy pass interference penalty where Tyreek Stevenson just throws Jordan Addison to the ground before intercepting another pass. And, touchdown after that. That's kind of when it felt like it was over. But even then, and it's like any game. I mean, there's no dominant team in the NFL. The Lions have had a few this year of those boat race laughers, but they're not equipped to do that currently. They've got to scratch and claw for every win. And I think most teams find themselves each and every week in games that are undecided well into the fourth quarter, and the Vikings have done a good job this year, like they did 2 years ago, of finding ways to win more of those games than lose them.
Now, you mentioned Dan Campbell, and he would have gone for it in that spot. He'd also go for it on his own 23. He might do an onside kick, despite just being down and still having 11 minutes left on the clock. The situation with the Lions, Aleem McNeil out for the year, David Montgomery, it sounds like there's some optimism there, but overall he's in a spot where his season might be over. They're dropping like flies. I can't remember a team that is so strong and so well equipped, a roster like theirs that is just being decimated by injury. But I have a hard time believing that the Lions are just going to nosedive here. I mean, I'm excited about the spot of the Vikings, but where's your head at when it comes to the Kitties through the final 3, of course, culminating with that matchup at Ford Field with the Purple? But I see the injuries. They're in an awful spot right now, but I'm not just dismissing them.
We hear next man up all the time in football because what is the alternative? No one's going to cancel games. No one's going to postpone them until your team is healthy. You've got to pick the next guy on the depth chart and put him in there. Now, some teams in the past, like the Patriots in the first half of their dynasty, they did such a good job of getting their starters to take less money. They were able to have a very well-funded second string, so there was less of a drop-off from starter to backup. But for most teams, The starter's the starter for a reason.
Yeah.
The backup's the backup for a reason. And when you start digging deeper into the depth chart, you're getting to guys that aren't very good relative to the best of the best. So that's going to be the challenge for the Lions now that they've hit this critical mass of injuries. But I thought Dan Campbell, his radio appearance yesterday on 97.1 The Ticket in Detroit, it was epic. And look, as humans, I think one of the challenges is to come up with a proper reaction to changing circumstances that you didn't anticipate. So you're always trying to make chicken salad out of whatever happens. And man, he's fiery and he's feisty and he's saying the things that I think he's going to have to say in the locker room to get his players to not take a woe is us, it really isn't our year, it's not destiny or density if you're George McFly. It's, reality smacking us in the face. And I think Campbell wants to grab his players by the shirt collar and get them to recognize you still can make things go your way. And we'll see if they're able to do it. Yeah, but I'm not betting against the Lions because so much of this comes from Campbell. It's not like they have a team of superstars. Now, they've got a really good team, but they're not dominant. They're not the 85 Bears. They find ways to win. And with the Vikings now tying them atop the division, it's a 3-game race for that 1 seed and everything that goes along with it.
Last one for you on the Vikings in particular. Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, ProFootballTalk.com, PFT Live, Football Night in America, books on sale. It's always busy with Mr. Florio and the time he gives us on Wednesdays. We love it. Kevin O'Connell, you put a piece out yesterday on ProFootballTalk.com. Something has switched in the last 48 hours or so, where Kevin O'Connell's now the betting favorite to become Coach of the Year. And Dan Campbell was kind of I don't want to peg him as the obvious candidate throughout most of 2024, but from a betting standpoint, he was the favorite. And now it's Kevin O'Connell. What changed?
Well, I don't like the Coach of the Year award, even though I have one of the 50 votes, because it has evolved into an award that goes to the coach of the team that surprised us the most. That's always what it is. Who surprised us the most? Which team most exceeded its generally accepted preseason expectations?
Yeah.
And that team, we're going to assume it was because of the coach, even if it wasn't because of the coach. Maybe sometimes it's in spite of the coach. Maybe there's other circumstances that cause it to happen. And Dan Quinn of the Commanders was the favorite at one point because, holy crap, look at this. The Commanders, they're a playoff team, and we didn't expect them to be a playoff team. And then it kind of settled into Dan Campbell because the Lions are just so damn good. Well, now that you've got the Eagles at 12-2, the Vikings at 12-2, the Bills doing what they're doing, you get, I think, a combination of the Vikings clearly have exceeded anyone's wildest expectations, getting to 12-2, and O'Connell is a proven commodity. 2 out of the first 3 years as he's a coach, he's got 12 wins. He's got a chance to be the first Vikings coach to have multiple 13-win seasons. He's matched Bud Grant with multiple 12-win seasons in 3 years on the job.
Yeah.
So, the Vikings have been looking, I believe, as they should have been, for their next Bud Grant ever since Bud retired in 1985 when he came back after the disastrous Les Steckel season, 3-13, just nightmare of 84. And now you got him. And, next order of business, Nordo, somebody named Wilf better be writing a big-ass check to KOC. Pay to the order of KOC whatever he wants. He's got 1 year left under contract. You're going to F around and find out if you don't get this guy signed long-term ASAFP.
I like that. Just transitioning here, the news, and I'm sure via PFT Live, and I actually did see an article here, you and Chris Sims, looking at potential spots for Kirk Cousins in 2025. News coming out yesterday that Kirk Cousins has been benched for the guy that the team drafted while he was en route to like a fan signing opportunity on draft day. 4 years, $180 million. They're going to pay him about 67, 68-ish for 14 games of work. What do you make of the whole thing?
Well, yeah, 62.5 this year,
okay.
27.5 next year, fully guaranteed. They can't get out from under that with a $10 million injury guarantee that's fully guaranteed the 5th day of the league year in March. They got to make a decision here quickly. They're going to trade him. They're going to cut him. I've argued that Kirk should just dig in his heels and say, I'm not waiving my no-trade clause. You got to cut me like the Broncos did with Russell Wilson. Then he'll pick his next team as a free agent, take the league minimum, stick the Falcons for the difference, and you can go wherever you want. The question is, will another team think he still can play at a level high enough to compete to be the starter? The problem, I think, this year, after thinking about this over the past couple of days and really following it all season, because of the Achilles injury, he can't muster the power from his lower body that he used to. He doesn't have the drive. So it's been a lot more of his arm this year than it's been lower body, and the arm gets fatigued and the body gets fatigued. You go all the way back to November of last year, working his butt off to rehab the Achilles tendon tear. And what happens is you compensate with other parts of your body that get stress placed on them, that eventually the body's going to rebel. And I feel like the past 5 weeks have been an example of a guy who just is overall too fatigued. The question is, will he be less fatigued next year? Will he be able to get that drive back in his lower body with the Achilles tendon injury more than 1 year removed from the surgical repair? And, do you need to be indoors if you're Kirk Cousins? Because I look at the Steelers. The Steelers fascinate me because they got the Russell Wilson bargain this year. They got the Justin Fields bargain this year. If they decide not to pay either of those guys, you could have Kirk Cousins fall into your lap. The Browns, who are tied to Deshaun Watson for $46 million next year, if you can get Kirk Cousins for nothing. The Rams, if they move on from Matthew Stafford. There's a lot of teams out there that are fascinating, and he may end up with the Titans, close to Atlanta. Family can stay there. He plays for Tennessee because they're going to be clearly looking as well. But there aren't a lot of teams that are looking for clear-cut must-have starters. And so it might limit his options, and he might ultimately be competing against a guy like Sam Darnold to find a new home for 2025. But Cousins is going to be a lot cheaper than Darnold will be.
Doesn't it feel like what the Steelers did in some ways kind of creates the template for, in some ways, handcuffing the Falcons? Other teams are going, I'm not even giving a 6th-round pick for Kirk, so don't even try, don't even call, and kind of force them in the spot. That deadline with the extra $10 million means a lot, given what maybe I assume it means a lot, given what they've already invested, and then he does pick that team, and maybe the league minimum vibe actually opens the door for teams that otherwise might be skeptical about, will he be stronger in 2025? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's a low risk. It's a low risk. For the Steelers, $1.21 million for Russell Wilson. They're paying their entire quarterback depth chart less than what Mason Rudolph got to sign with the Titans as a free agent. All three guys, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, and Kyle Allen, making less combined than Mason Rudolph. So I think that's a no-brainer, and that's why Kirk Cousins, the ultimate NFL businessman. You got that no-trade clause.
Yeah.
Hey, do us a favor and waive it. Screw you. Do me a favor and go back to April and not draft Michael Penix Jr. and draft a guy that's going to help me win games. Draft Byron Murphy II. Draft Dallas Turner. Draft a defensive guy and help me win games. I think that's a big reason why he won't waive the no-trade clause and shouldn't. The Vikings were very upfront with him. Hey, we'd like to bring you back, but we're going to draft your replacement.
Yeah.
Well, the Falcons, I don't know if they affirmatively lied to him, but I think they were dishonest by omission by not telling him that 8th overall pick that you assume we're going to use to help you pursue a championship for you and for the organization. We're actually going to use it on your replacement. So, hey, Kirk, it's just business. Sorry we did that. Now's the time for him to turn the tables and say, hey, Falcons, it's just business. I ain't waiving my no-trade clause.
I appreciate you joining me this morning, Mike. If we don't talk to you at any point next week, given Christmas is a week from today, have a Merry Christmas, and thanks for all you do for 9 to noon, my friend.
All right, thanks, pal. See you.
Thank you. That's Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, PFT Live, Peacock, Football Night in America. And you heard it at the open of the segment on this Christmas season, next Tuesday and Wednesday. Father of Mine, the ebook's going to be free on Amazon. He's also got Son of Mine, On Our Way Home, Playmakers. He's a writer. He does it all. Mr. Florio, and he does it all for us on Wednesdays, 9 to noon. Around the corner, weekly border battle catch-up. Dave Sinekin actually is going to come in studio. We're going to chat about that team, the nasty neighbors to the east. Maybe jump into a little Wolves conversation as well. But second hour begins. Dave Sinekin in the border battle. It's Nordo in for PA. You're listening to The Fan.
Hey, loves, it's Paris Hilton. Are you ready to live your best life this holiday season? Well, I've got the ultimate holiday giveaway just for you. Go to ParisHilton.com/giveaway to win a fabulous gift basket filled with handpicked faves from my gift guide. From my iconic cookware and chic apparel to glam goodies from my go-to brands, this bundle has it all. Don't wait. Enter now at parishilton.com/giveaway. Good luck and happy holidays. Keep sliving. That's hot.
The only thing better than the holidays are holidays packed with NFL games. Kicking off Thursday, December 19th with the AFC West Showdown.
Touchdown Chargers!
Then a Saturday doubleheader. 12 games Sunday with a battle in Lambeau on Monday night.
Oh, what a play! What a catch!
And a Christmas Day doubleheader for the ages on Netflix.
Oh, sweet Marie!
That's how the NFL does the holidays.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. And now I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun, Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free and each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.